this point, I think Scarlet Gomez should be kept in the museum and protected at all costs because what was that Oscar worthy performance? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Here we do movie reviews and give you all the gist going on in the industry, basically the music industry, the film industry, and the skit industry, and everything pertaining to entertainment at large. And before we continue, let me be the first person to wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. Without wasting so much of our time, we'll be reviewing the movie Behind the Scene, movie produced by the prestigious Funke and also directed by her and co-directed by Tunde Olaoye. Without wasting so much of our time and without further ado, let's get right into the synopsis. Behind the Scene is a story of Aderonke Fernandez, the young beautiful lady who is successful in the real estate industry, prioritizes her family, and she can be referred to as the ideal people pleaser. She was portrayed as the giver and a philanthropist. Things took turn when the giver couldn't give again. Life happened, and she watched those who she did for when she had a lot turn her back to her. Behind the Scene is a family drama, relatable and lessons driven. Story that will keep you at the edge of your seat. Trust me, Behind the Scene is that movie. If anybody would ask me, I would say this is one of the best of Funke Akindele movie yet. This is not a budget demanding film like most of the films like Patson Boca Street, where she had to set up a whole market from scratch, wasted a lot of foods, Tribe Called Judah, where she had to put in a lot of props, put in a lot of stuff, get a lot of stuff done, build a lot of sets from the scratch. This is not the kind of movie that requires a lot of budget. A lot of budget might have been involved in the aspect of the PR, in the aspect of the premiere and all of those, but in the production of this film, I think aside the party scenes, which I would consider not really necessary, not really insignificant, but this movie is not really budget driven, and even at that, it is still a good movie if you'd ask me. I was talking to one of my friends and I told her Funke actually did not do so much PR for this movie. I mean, she did a lot of PR for this movie, but compared to last movie, like the movies that she's done over the years, I think this movie is the movie that she's done the least PR. And I told the person there's a strategy behind that. I know this kind of movie, Behind the Scene, is that movie, or is the kind of movie that will sell itself. Honestly, I knew what she was doing. I honestly trusted with the fact that she was not doing so much PR, because I know I personally, I for one, knows that this is a movie that will sell itself because it is a good story, and it is not the kind of story that really requires a lot of people to do a lot of PR, because there's one thing about Nigerians, Africans at large, we are communalist, and once something is good, one way or the other, it will find a way, it will find its way to the market and market itself naturally. I think that is the experiment Funke Akindele was trying to do with this movie. Funke Akindele embodied the role of that elder sister. As much as she's not the lead actor, she still find a way to shine. Of course, there are a couple of scenes where she gave us range as the legendary actor. Adewale, Toby Bakre gave us an outstanding performance. Inedima gave us an outstanding performance. Destiny Okutuko, Master Macaroni, a good performance. Ibrahim Chata, an outstanding performance. I love the scene when it was slapped. So many memorable scenes that was amazing, 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 amazing. I think for cast delivery, it was an excellent job. And kudos to the director, because everybody brought their A game. The fact that she didn't do the major role, the ideal lead role that she's always been doing in most of her movies. I like the fact that she allowed another person shine, and even at the fact that she's not the lead role or she's not the lead actress, she still find a way to put in a legendary status, as the fact that no, I'm still here. I might not be the lead role, but I'm still doing the legendary status work that is meant to do. I know, it surprises me. It is an amazing. It's an incredible thing for her to wear the art of a director and at the same time wearing the act of an actress on the set and also monitoring the cinematography and different department. This is not coming from the fact that I love her a lot, because of course I love her, because who wouldn't love Funke Akindele? But the truth is, all of those things are not easy, and not just at doing it alone. She's doing it excellently well. This is commendable, and it is a commendable thing, if you would ask me. I really could go into Scarlet Gomez's head and picture out what she was picturing when she was about to deliver this project. It was as if she was owing rent and she just needed to perform excellently so that she could pay her rent. Because, in all honesty, Scarlett Gomez put this project on her shoulder and shouldered everything out. She delivered like her life depended on it, and I think this is one of the best that I've seen. As after Wura, I think this is one of the best of Scarlet Gomez that I've ever seen. Very first time, I would say I'm completely impressed by Destiny Etiko's performance. Her face is out there. She's a bankable actress and she's been in a couple of movies, but her performance in this behind the scene is completely different. She was not doing too much, but she brought out the emotions needed at every given point that she was supposed to emote. I couldn't but give it to her. I'm not really a fan of hers, but honestly, she did absolutely well. The emotion that was needed for each and every scene that she featured in was evident. And after Scarlett Gomez, I think she's the highlight of the performance for me in this movie. Story wise, I think this is a great movie. The screenplay did an awesome job because there was no unnecessary scene. Every of the scene accenting was accenting in a proper order. The every of the scene was necessary. There was no point where a scene was overflogged, was over dragged. The intentionality of the screenplay is one of the major hits of this film, and I love the fact that it was told in the most intense way. And if I would say anything, and the fact is that every of the scene was intentional and it will keep you at the edge of your seat and it will amuse you. And if you are not so emotionally stable, I would advise that you go in with your handkerchief, because it will drive your emotion, it will play with your emotion. It is an intense drama that will keep you at the edge of your seat, and it's a good one. For a lover of Funke Akindele's work, for a lover of a project, a lover of her personally, and for someone who has been following her project in the recent years that she has been taking her movies to the cinema, I think it is diligent and it's okay for her to build a set, build a location around somewhere else. It is always expected that whenever you see Funke Akindele project, you would see an instant and iota of Amen Estate. Don't get me wrong, I mean, it is not a bad thing, but I feel it is not refreshing to always feel like every of the set is built around Amen Estate. I think it is, and in all honesty and to be factual, I think it's a lazy thing that whenever we see Funke Akindele movie, it is always like we know this place and it has been used in any of our projects. And I understand that she's the kind of person who is doing a lot of projects and she might not want to overstretch, but for cinema project, I think it is diligent and excellent, should be excellent enough to build, if at all, build new set from scratch or try to explore different locations outside the main estate or outside the new territory that she's trying to build. And I think it's okay for her to use new locations, new places, new on like new places in quotes in general. Dialogue was not completely great. There were some scenes that I was expecting a better dialogue from some of the cast, but when it comes to action, courage, delivery, and reactions that was needed, it was awesome. But in the dialogue that was needed to support the action given, I think at some point, at some scenes, most of the dialogue were lost, or I would rather say they were not rich enough to boost that action, and it completely went flat at a point where it almost felt like it was overacting or it was overreaction, because in a situation or in a case where an action is given and the right words or the right vocal reactions to support that action is not there, it will completely become um, a misconception of action. And I think that was what happened in most of the scenes, especially from some of the cast. And I think Scarlett was not part of them because I think she was the major focus, and probably dialogue was more intentional. But to some of the cast, I think a better dialogue emphasis should have been laid to them. And I think for it to be better, the dialogue was a bit flop, not a complete flop. I understand that there's a lot of projects in her hand: Jennifer's Diary, Ayeto Town, My Assemblies and I, so many projects that she's embarking on. And I understand that she's had a lot of equipment that she's invested in so that all of these things could go smoothly. But I feel like in the year past, our picture quality and camera quality has tanked, and for the lack of better word, I think it is redundant. And I think because this is a cinema project, and the best of the best quality when it comes to sound, when it comes to the camera, when it comes to equipment, I think they should not be outdated. There should be new equipment to boost the quality of the story that she's trying to tell. And if anybody is going to agree with me, I think when it comes to cinematography, when it comes to picture quality, I think it is always just been the same over the last 3 years. I think it is okay, and I think it is advisable that she gets, not completely buy new ones, but for the sake of quality, I think it is okay that she tries to get new equipment or rent equipment to boost the quality, and rather than just being redundant with the same picture quality that she's been using in the last 3 years. It is rather predictable that whenever you see any Funke Akindele project or any film coming from Funke Akindele, you will always see a signatory talk scene or combat or fight scene. It's becoming tiring. I understand it can be signatories, can be your signature one. People might know you that okay, every of your film it's going to contain fight scenes or going to contain talk scene. I think especially when they are not necessary or avoidable. I think most of the scenes that requires, if you check most of Funke Akindele projects, you always see fighting scenes, you always see talk scenes. And I think it's okay that she changed strategy. Of course, she has changed a trajectory of movie production in especially this year, especially with the story that she's used to telling. I think thanks to her for changing the trajectory of her storytelling. But I think it is tiring, and I think she should change the signature of the toggery and the combat scene, and she should drift towards a different direction entirely, so we will not make it predictable. Everybody will predict that any of the Funke Akindele film is always going to contain fighting scene or combat scene, which is not an excellent thing of a producer or a filmmaker. The end part is where I have issues with the most, and I'm trying as much as possible not to make this review contain a lot of spoilers, but I'll try as much as possible to maneuver my way so people who have watched this film will get where I'm coming from. I think the ending is very, very unrealistic because this is a relatable story, and these are things that happen on a daily basis. Betrayal from family, betrayal from friends, and the reaction of go. Although she gave the best reaction, the person that was betrayed gave the best reaction. But in all honesty, it is not easy. Family betrayal is not easily forgiven like that. It was portrayed that after all that was done to her, she still find a way to be complacent with them, and I think that is not realistic enough, because for anybody who has experienced betrayal, it is not easy to get by, because even at the end of the day, she tried to do a lot of process so she could know who she was working with, who truly loved her. And after everything, what she could do, or what was reduced to, was that she easily forgave them. I think it is not okay enough, and I think she was not really addressing the reality. Honestly, probably she was trying to She was trying to shy away from the fact that probably backlash, but I think since it's a story and we are trying to tell a story in the most relatable way, I think it is necessary for her to have said it, or to be realistic enough with the last part and the reaction, and also a decision. Of course, anybody who has experienced betrayal will be definite with the decision, and not honesty. I think it was completely not so good, or not ended, or the whole story did not end well. I mean, not tragic, but it didn't give a good landing professionally. If there is anything anybody would ask me about behind the scene, I will hold anybody's hand and tell them that Funke Akindele made a classic. And trust me, this is a recommended film, and it is a high class film that everybody should watch. And for rating's sake, I will rate this movie 8 over 10, and I would recommend it to anybody who is family oriented, anybody who is a lover of good movie, and everybody who's a Nigerian, because this is a relatable movie, and I would want you to watch it. And I want you to I want you to give me feedback in the comment section. That is that by behind the scene movie. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, share, comment, click on the subscribe buttons so you get notified whenever I would drop a new content. Thank you very much for watching. Watch out for the review of Ovasabi Auntie. This is not Nollywood, a very dirty Christmas, Colors of Fire, I guess you call it part 2, and so many more videos from me to come. And I will see you in my next video. Thank you.